Hi folks, and welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Million, or Prince. That's right, we are here on another fantastic show. This one in particular is all going to be about women. So I hope you guys are excited as I am, because this one, well, it's all about women. Let's get started. You see, oh, hi there. You see, ever since the beginning of time, and I do mean since the beginning of time, way back to the beginning of history, my family, the royal family, the family of the crown, the family of all the legends and the castles are made of, the family that all the dreams are made of, the family that everybody has fantasized about and heard about and read about and studied about. That's all my family. It's not made up. It's absolutely real. Now, one of the things about my family is that we have always, ever since the beginning of time, placed our women at the very, 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 very top of the pedestal. We put our women ahead of ourselves, the men. And that has been proven throughout history over and over and over again. If you go back to the beginning of time, you are going to see nothing but women. Do you know why? Because my family has loved their women so much since the beginning of time that they put their women up here. You know, there's a song by a singer named Jaheim, and it goes, "Put that woman first." Anybody ever heard that? You better put that woman first. It's a very good song. You listen to it if you have the chance. He talks about putting his woman first. And that is the number one thing that my family has always done. And that's what we've always taught. And that's what my mom taught me and my grandma taught me and their parents taught them and their grandparents told them, and all the way down to the beginning of the time. Now I'm sharing that with you. If If you're a guy, put your woman first. Let me give you some examples. Has anybody in the world ever heard of Queen Elizabeth I? Yeah? You have? You've heard of Queen Elizabeth I? Good for you. She is actually my aunt/cousin. It's a true story. She is. Queen Elizabeth I is the most dynamic and the most well-known, most recognized worldwide queen on the planet. She is my blood family. Also, Catherine Howard. Has anybody heard of Catherine Howard? She married King Henry VIII. Or how about Anne Boleyn? She also married King Henry VIII. Now, I think everybody's heard of Anne Boleyn because there was a movie that released about her not too long ago. Those are both my aunts. They are. Those are my aunts. Catherine Howard is my aunt, and Anne Boleyn is my aunt. And now, they were both married to King Henry VIII. This is true. And King Henry VIII, for whatever reason, had a disagreement with them, and things didn't work out too well for any of them. But nevertheless, Catherine Howard and Anne Boleyn were and are still my aunts. Also, Eleanor of Aquitaine, Eleanor of Provence, Eleanor of Castile, Isabella of Gloucester. Has anybody ever heard of any of those? Those are my grandmas. It's a true story. They are my grandmothers. How about Matilda of Scotland, or Empress Matilda? Those are my grandmas. Very powerful women. In fact, some of the most powerful. In fact, Matilda was one of the only other worldwide recognized queens. It's my grandma as well. So my grandma Matilda and my grandma Queen Elizabeth I, two of the world's biggest and only legitimate recognized queens, are my immediate blood. One's my grandma, one's my aunt, and my cousin. How about, let's see here, how about we take Hildegard de Montague, or Hildegard de Beauregency. Yeah, Hildegard, both Hildegards, my grandmas. Queen Elfrida Elfrith. Anybody ever heard of Queen Elfrida Elfrith? She's my grandma. She was the first crowned queen of England. There's a trivia question for you, huh? That ever comes up? Who was the very first crowned queen of England? Well, you might say Elizabeth, right? Elizabeth I, Elizabeth II? Nope. It's my other grandmother, Queen Elfrida Elfrith. She was from the Anglo-Saxon community. And the Anglo-Saxons, when they came over, they pretty much established themselves in what's now known as Europe, and she became the very first crowned queen of England. And her husband was a king as well, and he was a very prosperous king and a very pleasant one as well. Also, let's see, how about Margaret Beaufort? Has anybody ever heard of Lady Margaret Beaufort, another powerful grandmother in my family? Lady Margaret Beaufort is King Henry VII's mom. She's my grandma. King Henry VII's mom, Margaret Beaufort, married my grandfather, Thomas Stanley, and he was from Ireland. And Thomas Stanley was the Lord, the King of Ireland, and a king of a country called Man. Margaret Beaufort was the one who pushed and pushed and pushed for her son and her family to create what's called the House of Tudor. It's a true story. My entire blood family is the Tudor family. Not joking you. That's my blood family. Also the Plantagenet family, but also the Tudor family is my entire blood family as well. So much blood in the Tudor family that King Henry VII is my uncle, King Henry VIII is my uncle, Queen Elizabeth I is my aunt cousin, Queen Anne Boleyn is my aunt, Catherine Howard is my aunt, King Henry IV is my great uncle, Princess Mary Tudor is my cousin. Those are all the House of Tudor. That's who makes up the House of Tudor. Oh, also Lady Jane Grey. She's also my great grandma. So, my blood in the House of Tudor is everywhere. I am all over the House of Tudor, in every single direction. In fact, King Henry VIII's will left portions of his estate and his empire and his dynasty to my family. Not joking. But the most important part of this is the women. See, behind every, and my family knows this, behind every good man is an even better woman. Behind every good man is a great woman, is a good woman. See, you can be a tough, macho guy, right? Without a woman behind you, a good woman behind you, you're not going to be a tough, macho guy, I guarantee you that. But the thing with this is my family, since the beginning of time, doesn't play that game. The women are fair, the men are fair. The women have been placed on pedestals ever since the beginning of time. And you can see that throughout history. Go back in the beginning of time, and you will see women on cave drawings and paintings, carved in rocks, etched in stone, on coins, on stamps, on monies, on documents, in the dictionaries, on the internets, in thesauruses, in history books, in educational materials. Go ahead. Look at all those famous women since the beginning of time. They're my family. Do you know why they're there? Because we put our women up here. Even though all of the kings have been powerful, all of them been powerful, all of them excessive military leaders, absolutely amazing military leaders, and wonderful militant kings and queens of all of the centuries have been my family. But one thing they all had in common, they put their women up here. Do you know why? Well, one reason is just like I told you. The other one is, imagine this. You are a powerful king. You're a mighty king. You have so much power and so much might within you, and you can order the destruction of any country, and you can order the destruction of any person, and you can do this to that person, and you can do this to that person, and all for this head, and all for that head, and all for that, and burn the castle, and burn the horses, and take the carriage. You can do all this with all your might and your power, right? But who are you going to come home to? You'd be pretty lonely when you come home all by yourself after doing all that, wouldn't it? Okay, but that's not the reason. The reason is because my family understands that a woman has a very feminine and beautiful offering to give the family. Herself. And she alone encompasses what's love and caring and nurturing, kindness and sweetness, loving tenderness and family ties and family things that only a woman can provide you. Every woman since the beginning of time in our family line, all the women in the history books have all been head of the household. Not joking. Because that's come down for centuries and thousands of years. Now the man, don't get me wrong, the man is a king. And if you did bad things, you don't want to face the king, I promise you that. But the woman in our house has always been the head of the household, ever since the beginning of time, because we put our women up here. See, my mom, one of the things she taught me that came all the way down from the centuries is treat your woman with kindness, with caring, with respect. Don't ever abuse her. Don't ever hit her. Buy her flowers, cards, and candy. Play her sweet songs. Give her poetry. Write poetry. Give her flowers. Give her beautiful things. Give her balloons. Give her love. Give her back massages. Give her hot dogs and candles. Candles in the dark. Give her all these wonderful, beautiful things. Give her presents and gifts. Massage her feet. Do the house chores for her. Do the work for her. Help her out sometimes. You know, see, our family knows the value of a beautiful woman. ever since the beginning. Now people say, million, that's bull. Your family are kings. They abuse their women. They killed their women. They cut their women's heads off. Or they cheated on their women. They had harems. The kings had harems of women. They didn't care about women. Let me answer those questions for you real quick. The answer is no, 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 no. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Absolutely false. Every single woman in our family has been a lady, a queen, a duchess, a baroness, a queen's consort, a princess. Who gives their women these titles if we did not love our women so much? Why would the kings put their women in those positions of power if we didn't like women? If the kings thought they were such badasses, why would there be a princess? Why would there be a queen's consort, a baroness, a duchess, a lady? Why would there be all of those different titles and more? Think about it. Because we put our women up here. Anybody ever heard of Lady Joan Gooshill? Lady Joan Gooshill is also my grandma. She married Thomas Stanley Sr., who they then had Thomas Stanley Jr., who was Henry VII's stepfather. How about Lady Elizabeth Fitzalan? Elizabeth Fitzalan is my grandmother. Now she was the only one. She was one of the only ones who had a couple of different marriages. But the thing with my grandma, Lady Fitzalan, she was a kingmaker. She was a queen maker. She was. She single-handedly had a daughter. Her daughter gave birth to Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard, both who married King Henry VIII. Her daughter also gave birth to Queen Elizabeth I. It's a true story. So, Queen Catherine Howard and Queen Anne Boleyn were my aunts. She also gave birth to Queen Elizabeth I. So, all my blood relatives. So, my grandma, great-grandma, Lady Elizabeth Fitzalan, or she also known as Lady Fitzalan Stewart, or Lady Fitzalan Stewart Gooshill, Mowbray. Boy, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Whichever married name she went by, she made kings and queens wherever she went, and Queen Elizabeth I is one of those. Now, how about Princess Mary Tudor? Anybody heard of Princess Mary Tudor? Princess Mary Tudor is King Henry VII's daughter. It's a true story. She's my cousin. How about Lady Anne Clifford? Anybody ever heard of the Clifford family? The Clifford family is all the way from King Rollo Clifford, the king of the Vikings. King Rollo Clifford was the family that literally gave birth to almost every royal family. Now, Lady Anne Clifford, she was a part of the Parliament in England, and the Parliament oversees the government. So she was a very powerful woman. All those women in my family are very powerful, extremely powerful. They're very strong, very tough, very diligent women. Now, as I said earlier, they're very powerful women. But on the other hand, they also know how to be loving, caring, nurturing, kind, sweet, caressing, adoring, loving, tender, just the most sweetest, beautiful people on the planet that you could ever know. That's my family. They have a great balance of that. So, you know, in today's world, most people and a lot of girls can only balance one of those. It's either caring and kindness or sweetness, or power. Power or caring kindness. You have to not every girl can do both. I'm not sure. I can't quite comprehend that because I can do both as well. But I guess I can understand it might be complicated for some people. You know, you can be super mighty and powerful, but you can't have the caring, kindness, and sensitivity. What the hell? Who told you that? That's a lie. But I guess some people don't have that. But all of my grandmas had that. They had both. And they were all leaders of countries. Leaders of thousands. They had their own armies. Every single one of the women I just listed had their own armies. Yeah, and they knew how to use it. Because they were both very motherly and loving, also very powerful. Now, out of that list, who's the most powerful woman? Can you name them? I'll give you three choices. Was it Lady Anne Clifford, Queen Elfrida Elfrith, or Queen Elizabeth I? Which one was the most powerful? I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. Give up? Queen Elizabeth I. She was the most powerful. She was the most successful, the most dynamic, and she was the most world-renowned queen who brought the country of England all the way up from the ground to superstardom, to where it is today. My cousin did that. Now, here's another thing about Queen Elizabeth I. So many people were employed by Queen Elizabeth I. A lot of my family members, because we are the House of Tudor, right? Like I explained earlier, every single direction in the House of Tudor was King Henry IV, Queen Elizabeth I, King Henry VII, King Henry VIII. Those are all my uncles. King Henry VII, King Henry VIII are my uncles. Princess Mary Tudor. Those are all, Lady Jane Grey. Those are all the House of Tudor. Every single one of them is my grandma, my uncle, my aunt, or my cousin. It's a true story. So my blood in the House of Tudor is in every direction, literally. Okay? My family is in the House of Tudor. My family is the House of Tudor. Now, if we also go over to the House of Plantagenet and the first House of Lancaster, that is my family as well. My family is also the very first House of Lancaster and the very first House of Plantagenet and the House of de Clifford. All of those are my immediate family. I mean, I'm related to every single family, and every single house is my family, but those are my immediate families. But the thing about Queen Elizabeth I, though, is that because she employed so many people that worked for her, and she was such a wonderful and loved queen, 3 of my families, the Clifford family, the Loftus family, and the Littlefield family, worked for her. Yes, they did. You can look it up on the books. The Littlefield family was dubbed, authorized, officiated, authenticated, authorized, and given a royal seal of approval and stamp and blessed by Queen Elizabeth I. All 3 of them. Now, another thing about all 3 of those families, the Littlefield, Clifford, and Loftus family, is that she dated somebody from each one of those families. Yes, she did. I'm not joking you. Now, is she known as the Virgin Queen? Well, yes. What? Now, was she known as the Virgin Queen? Well, yes. But we'll just leave it at that. She dated somebody from the Clifford family, she dated somebody from the Littlefield family, and she dated somebody from the Loftus family. Did she have any children? You might be looking at one of them right now. But the world will never know, because she is Queen Elizabeth. She is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth I. So the world will never ever know. Why? Because it's none of your business if she did or not. She went down in history as being the Virgin Queen and not having any children. So be it. However, like I said, she did date the Clifford family, the Littlefield family, the Loftus family. Now, fast forward 1,000 years, those are all 3 of my immediate families today. Yeah, all 3 of them. The Clifford, Littlefield, Loftus, those are all my immediate families. Well, 3 of mine. I have like 7 immediate families, but those are 3 of my immediate. Like, hello, go knock on their doors. There's a Littlefield, there's a Clifford, there's a Loftus family. Yeah, they're all right there. They're like They're all my families. But it was all about love. You know, it was all about love because my family's all about love on every side. Even the notorious uncle of mine, King Henry VIII, who was the drunkard. I'm Henry VIII for him, I am Henry VIII for him. Henry VIII for him, I am Henry VIII for him. All right, who doesn't know that song, right? But the thing with that is that King Henry VIII loved alcohol. Very powerful man, very intelligent man, very smart man, very large man. But one thing my family does not tolerate, even though we put women on a pedestal, okay? We put them on a very high pedestal. We do not tolerate cheaters. We do not tolerate liars. We do not tolerate dishonesty. And after thousands and thousands and thousands of years of war, battles, our family being murdered and tortured and captured and chased and hunted, we, as a family, can see right through the heart of you and see right through your bullshit. Not joking. Not even the government likes to go against us. Do you know why? Because we can see right through the heart of your bullshit. No matter what kind of bullshit you're trying to pull. Now, did Catherine Howard and Anne Boleyn cheat on King Henry VIII? That does not run in my family. Cheating does not run in my family. It's not taught in my family. It has never been taught in my family. In fact, faithfulness is taught in my family. However, they were both around 18 years old. He was like 35 or 40 years old, or something like that. So, I'm not saying mistakes couldn't be made. I mean, they were sisters, so I'm not saying mistakes couldn't be made. But I tell you this, but then again, you know, my uncle, King Henry VIII, did like to drink. And maybe he made bad judgment calls, you know, as alcohol does sometimes. Obviously, he was a little insecure because he was very heavy and overweight, so he might have been some insecurities along with his alcohol. Maybe it was bad judgment calls, maybe not. But I do know this. Our accuracy on seeing through bullshit is almost 100% pure. Now, I don't know. They were young. He was older, fat, big, heavy, maybe low self-esteem. I don't know. But I love all of my family just the same. You know, everybody makes mistakes. But when you're in the position of power, whether it's a man or a woman, doesn't matter. When you're leading a country, you know, like you're in the United States there, you have a president and then you have a first lady, right? Each one of those positions is equally important. It's super important. If you have a woman president who cheats on her husband president, don't you think that's a problem for the country? Because they're supposed to set the example. And you have thousands and millions of eyes watching you. So there's a big responsibility, and there's a lot of responsibilities and a lot of political stuff that go along with all of that. And my family has done it for thousands of years, so they're no stranger to any of that. And, you know, who knows? But I do know that every single one of those women that I talked about earlier is my grandma, my aunt, my cousin. And, I just love each and every one of those beautiful women in our life. And each one of them had beautiful, wonderful children and beautiful, wonderful babies. And you guys are some of their babies as well. You're some of their children. Yes. All of you girls out there with the blonde hair and blue eyes, these are your grandmas. All of you girls out there with green eyes or hazel eyes, these are your grandmas, could be your grandmas as well. With red hair, freckles, most likely your grandmas. Absolutely, those are all your grandmas as well. So, we all have a shared common ancestor somewhere, right? Well, I happen to have every single one right directly in my family tree. Some people have one here, some people have one family they're related to there, some people have one person over here. Every single one of them in my family line is my family. So that's why they're all in my family. Well, I hope that to shed some light on the importance of women, the beauty of women, and how wonderful and fantastic women are throughout history and even today. Guys, I hope that you respect and love and care for each one of your women. In fact, I want you to go and give your woman a big hug and kiss and tell her how much you love her right now. Get down on your hands and knees and kiss her feet. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Are you beneath that? You're a big, powerful man. It shouldn't bother you. I do it. I've done it many times. It doesn't bother me at all. I will get down and kiss the feet that my women have, because I love them and I appreciate them that much. No, I'm not a foot person. I'm just using that as a metaphor, right? Don't be afraid, because you're a big, tough, macho man, no matter what position you have, to get down on your hands and knees. And let's say, I'm not saying be your woman's bitch, although some women would like that. They're like, yeah, my man's my bitch. I'm not saying being your woman's bitch, because no woman really wants that. Okay, they don't want a bitch, but be coachable by your woman. Okay, be accessible by your woman. Put her. You don't have to put her way up here. Okay, but put her up there. Don't keep your woman down. Don't ever hit your woman. Don't ever abuse your woman. And if you do, I will hunt you down and I will find you. God bless you guys. Lots of love. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. We will see you on the next show.
Angelus, felix in